As moms, we're often the family's CEO, CFO, and COO all rolled into one. And honestly, it can be exhausting. And that's largely because of the invisible labor that we as moms not only carry every day, but also struggle to maintain and keep up with. From planning birthday parties to ensuring everyone's emotional needs are met, this invisible labor is a constant companion in our mom life journey. And in today's episode, we're going to explore what the invisible labor really entails because it's not just about the tasks on your to do list. It's the ongoing planning, organizing, and the emotional energy that goes into keeping our family life running smoothly that really adds up and takes its toll. Understanding this is so important to managing it effectively and maintaining our own well being. And more importantly, in this episode, we're going to talk about how to get ahead of the burnout that can come when you're struggling to manage the mental load of mom life. Let's get started and find new ways to navigate mom life with a little bit more intention and a lot more ease. If you need more of that in your life this week, you're in the right place. Let's simplify things together. I'm Erin Christopoulos, a mother of two and teacher-turned-mom strategist who puts the pieces of mom life together so you don't have to. I get that you're short on time and don't have the capacity to figure out everything on your own, which is why I'm here to help you get clear on where to put your focus while protecting your time and energy so you can actually enjoy these years with your little ones. I'm ditching the overwhelming and unrealistic one-size-fits-all tactics and replacing them with an approach that's practical and personal, because I believe your family is one of a kind with its own qualities and values that deserve an adaptable approach, offering support and encouragement where you need it most. From honest conversations and mindset shifts to practical tips and sustainable strategies, consider this your customizable guide to mom life. With the tools and resources you need at your fingertips, you'll finally have the confidence and clarity you need to bring more intention and ease to everyday life so that you and your family thrive. This is the Mom Life Handbook. We've spent the past couple of weeks here on the podcast talking about the mental load and how much we are managing as moms. But our first two episodes really focused on our stress response that our bodies get stuck in when we aren't managing the mental load effectively, as well as what you can do to really disrupt that stress spiral and get you back on track in the moment. This week, I want to really unpack what's going on with the mental load and really put an end to letting it run your life so that we can prevent being in this constant state of stress. Before we dive into all of that, I want to remind you that I am currently inviting you to join me for 5 days inside the Claim Your Calm Challenge. These are 5 quick days of audio check-ins where we explore new strategies to help you get in tune with what you need in order to experience the best day possible. This is less than 10 minutes a day. I have the system in place. I show up in your inbox. All you have to do is open that email and listen in. So if you've been feeling like you've got a lot of stress and you haven't been managing it well and you want to bring more ease into your days, this challenge is the perfect fit for you. Truth be told, this is not going to stay free forever. So if you want to get your access to Claim Your Calm now while it's still free, head to momlifehandbook.com/claimyourcalm. Just drop your name and email address there and we'll get you in. More than anything, I want to make sure that you have a handful of tools that you can tap into whenever you feel like mom life is getting stressful, and to walk you through tools that you can just have in your back pocket and rely on when things are getting stressful. That's everything. And I'm so excited to share that with you. So be sure to jump in at momlifehandbook.com/claimyourcalm, and I'll also link it in the show notes if you just want to click over there. So we spent the last 2 weeks talking about how much you have on your plate as a mom and how it really can cause your mind to be in a constant state of stress where you are in fight, or freeze mode constantly. And it makes it really hard to feel effective as a mom when you are in that position. So I hope that those first 2 episodes really helped you feel like you've got a jump start on what you can do on not only recognizing what that stress response looks like for you, but then what you can do in real time to get back on track. I don't need to rehash exactly why everyday mom life is so exhausting, but there are the things that everyone in your family can see, like running around and making breakfasts and cleaning up the house and getting the kids out the door to school, handling school paperwork, all those things. But then there's also so much that people don't see and don't acknowledge. And that can be really hard because you feel like not only are you shouldering it all yourself, but it's not even necessarily verbalized and acknowledged. I mean, when you think about how you're managing so much on a day-to-day basis, month-to-month, year-to-year, and everything that comes up in that time, I just want you to take a moment and give yourself so much appreciation. You've been doing so much in the last few years, and I don't know if that's gone fully acknowledged. So if no one has acknowledged that, I want to be the person to do that for you. I know what you're doing. I know how hard it is, and somehow you're doing it. And to constantly be up against so much is exhausting. It really does have an impact on your daily life. I tried to put together a list of things that could be reflective of the impact that all of this effort is having on your daily life. Not because anyone should feel bad about it, quite the opposite. I want to normalize that as modern day moms, we are managing so much simultaneously. And the fact that we expect ourselves to hold it together, to be the person we were before we had kids, and to make it all look effortless is so impractical. And I want to create a safe space here to acknowledge that all of this effort does take its toll. And then we're going to move through that and talk a little bit about what we can be doing to manage all of these everyday efforts more effectively to, if nothing else, paint the picture of what's possible. Obviously, this is not going to be a quick fix, but I think that being able to have a real practical conversation around what is possible is a great first step. So let's just briefly talk about these impacts on your daily life because they're very real and nothing to feel bad about. The first is that when you're trying to manage so much simultaneously in your mind, you're actually decreasing your mental and emotional bandwidth. Your constant juggling and mental tracking that are required to manage the invisible labor of motherhood, everything that goes unseen, is going to leave you less patient or irritable or feeling mentally exhausted. You can see this playing out maybe in your family relationships or your productivity at work or even your own personal well-being. And that's actually another thing that I wanted to make sure that we acknowledged. Chronic stress from trying to manage it all can manifest physically. So you may have noticed an uptick in headaches, a feeling of fatigue, sleep disturbances, nothing like that good old 2 a.m. hamster wheel of thoughts of everything that didn't get done and still needs to happen, or even more severe health issues over time. The physical toll can then further exacerbate your feelings of exhaustion and burnout. And when you are perpetually busy or overwhelmed, it's reducing your ability to enjoy and be present in daily life. So if you've been feeling disconnected or disassociated with the people you love most or the things you used to really enjoy doing, that constant state of stress really can diminish the quality of interactions with others and reduce your time and energy available for your personal interests and self-care. And when you're devoting so much mental energy to tracking and managing your household, your family, your work, decision-making becomes more challenging. I can't tell you how many moms have told me they are so sick of making another decision. You might find that you're less efficient in completing tasks. You struggle to focus, or you just feel paralyzed by indecision because you're just in full cognitive overload. And when you have all of this on your plate and you are operating on limited bandwidth, it really causes us as moms to have to choose. Something's got to give. And most often it's personal goals, aspirations, and identity that go first. And that's really hard because when you have this loss of your sense of self outside of your roles of being a mom and a family caregiver, it really takes an impact on your long-term personal growth and your sense of satisfaction. So I know for me, I've experienced all of these at some point in my decade of being a mom. and I still experience them in waves. It is just inherently going to be a part of modern day mom life. But what I want to acknowledge here is that it's not our fault. It's perfectly normal, and there are things we can do about it. So I want you to consider what some of your signs might be in terms of what the impact of mom life has had on you, so that you can lean into solutions that are going to help you start to get ahead of this and hopefully free up some of that bandwidth as a result. So there are 3 kind of categories that I think are some of the biggest signs of really being burned out on mom life. The first are your physical symptoms. So you might be feeling constantly tired, can't sleep at night, you have headaches, your digestion is off, you don't feel strong and capable anymore. Maybe you haven't been working out because that's fallen to the wayside. Another category are your emotional signs. If you struggle with feelings of overwhelm, being irritable, or have decreased enjoyment in your life, those are cues that it's time to focus on your emotional needs. And then lastly, you might be noticing some behavioral indicators like procrastination, neglecting your self-care, more conflict within your family, or your relationships at work. Again, we're not solving this problem in one podcast episode, and there's a lot more to come from Mom Life Handbook that's going to help set you up for success in this, because I feel like it is just so needed right now. But even just taking the time to look for patterns, look for things that set you off or trip you up, and start thinking about, how can I change that one area of my life? You can't change it all at once. It's going to take time. It's going to take experimentation. It's going to take a lot of patience. The good news is you don't have to focus on everything all at once. If you can choose one area of your life to key in on and do things a little bit differently and set some boundaries around it to really make sure that that effort is as protected as it can be, I firmly believe that all of us need to work on our boundary setting. Something that really shifted boundaries for me, because there used to be a lot of guilt around setting boundaries, that it felt like setting a boundary means that I don't care about somebody else, that it's very one-sided. But what I started to realize is that boundaries can be one of the most loving things that we can do for ourselves and the people that we care about the most. When you start to get really clear on what your priorities are, especially around these indicators that life has gotten to be too much, you have the big picture view of what's going on and where the priorities lie in your life at this moment. Because you also see that not only is there a toll that's being taken on you, it's affecting your family, your coworkers, and your friendships. It's affecting far more than other people are really going to recognize. And when you can set boundaries that help protect the shifts that you are trying to make, you are able to make progress more quickly, and everyone benefits when those shifts actually happen. And when we hold boundaries that protect what we're focused on, or protecting what we know is in the best interest of the whole family, it's not selfish. It is very, very much a loving thing that you are doing on behalf of everyone. And no one has to like your boundaries. You are not responsible for how they feel about the boundaries that you are creating. You are responsible for how you feel for the boundaries you're creating. And that doesn't mean that you can't set boundaries in a way that aren't supportive, that aren't mutually respectful. There's a lot that can be said about setting boundaries that are graceful and kind and gentle, yet effective. So let's look a little bit at what this can look like. So the first thing I want you to do is identify your needs. Like I said, get really clear on what matters and why. So get really focused on what you need right now in order to feel a better sense of balance and less overwhelm. This could look like more time for rest, more time for your personal hobbies, more time with friends or in therapy to process what you've been going through. Maybe it's putting systems in place to minimize decision fatigue and increase your efficiency. For example, if you don't have a set time frame in mind for how long a task is going to take, it could easily fill up as much time as you give it. So what could it look like to hold a boundary with yourself to support your new focus? For example, I know that I need to clean out the closets and switch over for the new season, and I do not have time right now to fully tackle that project. But what I am going to do is I'm going to make sure that it happens because it is important, but I'm going to set a clear time boundary around that for myself. So I have time this weekend. I think I have about an hour to get it done. I'm going to set a timer and I'm going to prioritize what is the most important thing that needs to happen in here. And I'm going to tackle that first. And when that hour's done, I am moving on. That closet is going to be good enough. And trust me, good enough is great. So what can you do to set boundaries for yourself that are going to support the needs that you have? I need time on the weekends to hang out and be connected with my family. Like, that's really important to me right now. I do not want to spend my whole weekend deep cleaning my house while my kids are home. I just don't. So setting a time boundary for myself can honor what needs to get done while also honoring what I really value at this point in time. So think about what you can do to put constraints around how much time any given task gets from you. Another one is, how many times are you repeating the same task throughout the day? How many times are you checking your email in a given day? That task switching of constantly going in and out of your inbox is costing you a lot more time, because when you're constantly in and out of that inbox and you are not in there with intention, emails don't get responded to in a timely manner. I can't tell you how often I've lost an email because I read it and then maybe it got filed away somewhere else or got deleted, or it's unread, but it gets pushed down in my inbox because I'm not in there with intention. So what can you do to minimize repetition, to set time limits on things? You'll find the less time and effort you put into certain tasks, the more that automatically frees up your time for the things that matter most to you. And I also want you to get really clear on what your non-negotiables are. This was something that completely changed the game for me when it came to setting boundaries. For me, as a new mom, I realized after I had my second child that I had to protect time for me. And it became my non-negotiable boundary. And my ask wasn't big. My ask was to go to a workout class 2 times a week. I wanted to go work out 5 minutes away from our house for a 50-minute class. So door to door to door, 1 hour. I was asking for 2 hours a week where I could go take care of myself, my needs, my body, so that I could better show up, not just for myself, but for my family. And when I was so clear on what a small ask that was, it was so easy for me to stand my ground, because trust me, there were times that the people I was relying on to help make sure that happened were pushing back. And it was so easy for me to just say, no, this is my non-negotiable. I'm so clear on this. So I want you to get clear on, depending on what your needs are, what is a small ask, but a non-negotiable that you can incorporate into your routine to support what you need most. And that might just be, I'm taking a daily walk around the block. I'm gone for 10 minutes. I'm dedicating an uninterrupted hour once a week or once a month for a hobby that I want to get back into, or a new skill that I want to learn. Or we're having a 30-minute sprint as a family every Saturday morning to just reset the house. You decide what the non-negotiable is. Be clear on your why, and the easier it will be to also get people to stand behind you and support you in holding your boundaries around those non-negotiables. Also, what can you do to delegate? I know that it feels like you can't. I know that it can feel like a power struggle. This can be so hard. This is actually something that we spend a day on inside of Claim Your Calm. So we focus on how to create a spirit of teamwork in your family dynamic as a strategy for delegation. I think it is so important that you not be the sole supporter of your household and your family. Your family unit has to work as a team. So looking at how do we unify our efforts and have everyone have a stake in what's happening in your home as a source of support in lightening the mental load. It does not necessarily lighten things right out of the gate, but as you help your children build their independence and their confidence, you're going to find that things really start to fall into place and there is less that you are managing all on your own at home. So if you want to learn more about how to inspire a spirit of teamwork in your household, be sure to jump into the challenge. It's completely free for now, so make sure you grab it before that offer disappears. You can jump in at momlifehandbook.com/claimyourcalm. Also, what are ways that you can delegate tasks and responsibilities to people outside of your home? I know that this can add up quickly and it can feel like something that's very indulgent or frivolous to do, but man, there are some really good services out there right now that can be very cost effective. And if you're strategic in picking the ones that support your needs the most, it can make all the difference in the world. If you're not already, be sure to hit the follow button on this podcast because you don't want to miss next week's episode where I'm breaking down 10 ways to reduce the mental load on a $100 budget. It's going to be such a good episode. Do not miss it. Make sure that that episode lands right in your podcast library. And the only way to do that is to make sure you are following. So be sure to hit that follow button right now. Now, I also have a couple of episodes to help you dive deeper into some of the aspects of the mental load that we don't have time to dive into today. They are all linked in the show notes, so you can just click right there. The first episode focuses on what to do when you feel like you have no time and your day is just spiraling out of control. So that one is episode 25, No Time, How to Shift Your Mindset and Reclaim Your Day. Also, if you struggle with task avoidance or analysis paralysis, episode 21 is for you. It's unpacking avoidance, growing your awareness of your stress patterns in motherhood. If you are feeling incredibly overwhelmed in the moment, I want you to go tune in to episode 22, how to stop overwhelm with these 5 power zones. And then my favorite, and this has been one of the most, the 5 power zones episode is actually very popular too, but another top episode from Mom Life Handbook is how to be a better mom in just 10 minutes. That is a must listen for everyone. You've got to check that one out because I think you'll find that the strategies in there really underscore just how easy it can be in just such a short amount of time to shift how you're feeling about yourself and what you can accomplish and how you show up for your family without having to put much into it. I think that's really important that all of us really walk away from this episode understanding is that this isn't about being able to completely overhaul how you're experiencing mom life in one podcast episode or in one day or 1 week. This needs to be an ongoing evaluation, reflection, trial and error, and being strategic in how you are leveraging intentional strategies to completely shift your overall experience. These small changes really add up. That's the key here. Like I said, with my experience with my non-negotiable of working out 2 days a week, even just that habit alone helped me find my confidence in setting boundaries in other aspects of my life. It had such an unexpected spillover effect into other areas of my life that have carried me so much further in the years that have followed. So I want you to really think about how having this deeper understanding of what you need in order to get ahead of this strain and stress from the mental load is going to help you get really clear on what your next steps need to be in order to make a change. And sometimes just knowing those first steps is what you need to help start making the changes. I want you to remember that taking care of yourself isn't just good for you, it's good for your whole family. So be sure to head to the show notes for all the resources that I shared with you, whether that's you want to go back and listen to the first 2 episodes of this mini-series, to follow the show to make sure you catch next week's episode with 10 ways to outsource on a budget of $100, to join the free Claim Your Calm Challenge, or to catch any of those other podcast episodes that I told you about. There's no one way of making what you most support that. So I hope Mom Life Handbook helps. There's a lot more coming in helping that. One of the best ways you can start is by continuing resources like the challenge, because there's some accountabilities that are what you need the most. End of the day, that you've just finished another episode of the Mom Life Handbook podcast. Remember to check out the episode description for all the important links and highlights from today's show. While you're there, tap the subscribe button so that new episodes are always at your fingertips. Before you go, I'd really appreciate hearing your thoughts about the show. It takes as little as 30 seconds to leave a review, and your honest thoughts help me create a better show and help other moms discover it too. And if this episode really helped you out, go ahead and hit the share button to text it to a friend or share it on social media. You never know who in your life might benefit from a little extra support. Don't forget, there are lots of ways to stay connected beyond the podcast. Head over to momlifehandbook.com for additional resources or to learn about how to work with me. And be sure to follow along on Instagram at momlifehandbook. Send me a DM to say hey or to share your thoughts on today's episode. Connecting with you personally is what I really love most. And just in case you need to hear it today, you're doing an incredible job. I know it doesn't always feel like it, but you're here, learning how to be better and do better. Keep working to bring more intention and ease into your life, and know that I'm right here cheering you on. You're creating a beautiful journey for you and your family. I am so proud of you.